talented than that. But the masses wanted us to keep the thing going.
Yeah.
Destiny's Child come out with independent men and
independent ladies.
Whatever. Independent women.
All right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever record.
All right.
And you know, my guys thought it was a bright idea to remix it, and I was adamantly against it. We don't need to do it.
You felt y'all was going down into y'all was going into
a rabbit hole.
A hole, yeah.
A rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I didn't, you know what I mean? We don't need that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially with our first single was Cheapskate, which was bona fide.
That was some
single.
That was some street shit. Yeah.
But it was a bona fide single.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we have the power to make these things.
Yeah.
But you know, after a while, it took them about a month to get me on the record, and we wound up doing Independent Men, which did absolutely nothing.
Right.
Which I knew it was going to do.
Right. You think people started to view it as like once it turned, because some of y'all videos had a level of comedy or sarcasm in it.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? All right. Do you think people started?
John Forte was in our first video. John Forte was in Cheapskates. A lot of people don't even know that.
Okay.
John Forte, in the beginning of the Cheapskate video, John Forte comes to the car asking Kirk if he wants him to fucking squeegee the window.
Sure did.
That was John Forte.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shout out to, salute John, love. That's my guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? I forgot where you.
It kind of like was taking on the. Some of y'all videos had a level of comedy or sarcasm,
and that was us, because that was the street cinema part of it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We had to put out singles.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, the album was a story format based album. You know what I mean? So we was just trying to tie things in as much as we could. You know what I mean? With Dylan, that album was actually an underground album. Source rated it 3.5 mics. I think we got a L. I think we got an L and XXL. Later on in the year, Source rated it one of the most underrated albums of the time.
Yeah. Because
it was you know, it wasn't promoted properly, which meaning it wasn't received properly.
Okay. I knew that once it started to appear.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I say that to say, we had two different, and we still have two different fans. A lot of people that loved us for Pigeons, we still had this underground
street
core street cinema following.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which was two different fan bases. You gotta understand, you had raucous records and you know what I mean, all that at that time. Hip hop fans was real fickle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you was, and you can possibly categorize us as backpack rappers if you want. You know what I mean? Based on the street cinema, conceptual, whatever. And then we just out of nowhere go through the stratosphere on this side. You know what I mean? We had two totally different fans.
I agree with that. Because when y'all first came out, I believe that y'all was received as a legitimate underground trio.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And I just knew that once the music started to almost take on like a Weird Al Yankovic, because that's who was doing that shit in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I said to myself, I don't know how long they gonna be able to keep this up. It was almost like y'all,
and we didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
We didn't want to do that. Pigeon, like I said, Pigeons was just something we were in the dumps. Lord Tariq, Peter Guns, gone. John Forte, Fuji's, gone. We next on the chopping block. we in mid descent coming down to get out of here.
Yeah.
And we didn't do that record in desperation to you know what I mean, save ourselves. We did that record because we knew that was us and some funny shit that we could do that was dope for New York. With absolutely no intention on that shit going where the fuck it went.
Yeah. What was some of the high profile platforms that y'all performed No Pigeons on?
We had our own Ricki Lake show.
I think I seen that.
We had our own Ricki Lake show. The Pigeon Pageant. Shot it 2 days. That was my realization that television is bullshit. Because Sporty Thivs, Pigeon Pageant, you got all of these females. We should be able to choose who we think is the pigeon.
Yeah.
They already had the pigeon selected.
Scripted. Yeah.
That's when I knew television was bullshit.
Right.
Jenny Jones, we did a couple of award shows. We saw some heights.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing y'all on those talk shows for sure. And shocked that y'all was on there. Like, cause, you know what I mean? Them shows was kind of messy back then and shit.
We were supposed to do, they wanted us to be the first episode. Remember when Queen Latifah came out with her talk show?
I believe I remember briefly.
She came out with a talk show. They wanted us to be the first episode, and I talked to the producers, and they was asking me questions, and I was giving them some stories, this, that, and the third, and they was like, "Oh, well, do you think you could get the female?" I was like, "Oh, whoa, no, we not doing no expose type shit.
Right.
We not doing that. Not happening."
Yeah.
And Ricki Lake tried to do that with us, actually. A couple of the females, my counterparts, Brando and Kurt, invited a couple of the girls to the studio.
Mm-hmm.
That's, like I said, we filmed for 2 days. The first day, they invited a couple of the girls to the studio. I wasn't there yet. Once I get in the studio and I see the girls from the Ricki Lake show in there, I snap. All of y'all, get the fuck out of here.
This ain't no joke. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. My man's in them like, yo, what the fuck? Yo, nigga, this. I'm not taking no chances. Get the fuck out of here. Lo and behold, the very next day when we shooting the second part, Ricki Lake comes in our dressing room and said, which one is the smart one? The bitches was wired.
Are you serious?
Facts.
Wow.
Which one is the smart one? Me. Yeah, them bitches was wired.
I said them shows was messy. I just said that a couple. I used to watch them shows and shit.
And they was really trying to cook niggas.
Yeah.
They was trying to cook niggas.
Right.
I'm glad that I you know what I mean, did what I did.
Intuition. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell me how you guys got involved with Ski Beatz. Because I used to always hear Roc-A-Block on Jay-Z's.
Yeah, Roc-A-Block, Roc-A-Fella
on Jay-Z songs and shit like that. When I looked into you guys' bio, I seen Roc-A-Block, you know.
Yes.
So explain.
Shopping around, trying to find the best option that fit us. We ran into Ski. I had somewhat of an early relationship. Darian Dash, Stacey Dash's brother, was the CFO of Roc-A-Block. And I had somewhat of a little relationship with him from back in the days. And we wound up, coming across their desk, and they were a brand new label. We had a couple of other labels that were interested in us, but they had a roster already. Roc-A-Block was free and clear. And we chose to go with Roc-A-Block, one, because we respected Ski's production, and two, wasn't much in front of us. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We knew that we would actually have a shot at, coming out and having a commercial release.
Yeah.
So that was, that's what it was.
another reason I knew you guys was legitimate MCs was y'all affiliation with Raucous Records. I seen y'all name back in the magazines affiliated with Raucous some type of way. Explain how y'all got down with Raucous Records, which was the inspiration behind my album series. I tried to recreate Raucous Records literally.
The affiliation with Raucous Records came. Let me try to be as accurate as possible. Half of our management team, Chris, I believe was connected with Black Sean, who was connected with Raucous, and I know we did a couple of songs with Shabam Sadiq, Salute Bam,
Yeah.
Love My Brother, and I believe that's where our affiliation with Raucous came from.
Yeah, I was on a project called Hip Hop for Respect. What was that about?
Oh, that was fucking awesome. That was fucking awesome. Amadou Diallo, African gentleman pulling out his wallet and got shot 41 times by police. Mos Def put a call out for the hip hop industry to pull up, you know what I mean, and do a song. It's crazy because early that morning we had actually did Ed Love and Dr. Dre that morning, and went straight to Sony Studios. We talked with Mos, and we had an ill conversation with Mos, and at the end of the conversation, Mos said, "Yo, it's gonna be a long day, but y'all are gonna be on the final version of this record. So I just need y'all to stick it out for me."
Right.
And we pretty much sat in Sony Studios for about 20 hours. Damn near the whole record industry showed up. Rest in peace Rico from Organized Noise. He's the one that produced the track. And it was a dope ass day. I think the final version that came out was Rod Digger, my third cousin, salute. Rod Digger, Cool G Rap, us, Shabam Sadiq, Pasta Noose from De La, Pharaoh Monch, Mos, Talib, and I might be forgetting one more person.
All elites. Yeah.
Yes. Dope session, dope video.
No doubt.
On the bike, you tuned in Gully TV, the realest for the streets. This is what it's about. Talk to 'em.